everyone, unlike my past videos, this is gonna be mostly unscripted, since all I had in mind for writing a video right now was just video ideas, and I could share those with you right now. But first off, even though the video is very much unscripted, there are a bunch of edits. So there are some parts in here that aren't totally improv. Also, if you like this sort of content, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any more content. Although, speaking of content, this is my first video in over 2 months. That being said, I haven't been uploading quite as consistently as I had originally planned. Again, this thing is very much unscripted, and I know I'm going to be saying that a lot, probably, but what matters is I'm able to get a video out. In particular, this one would be for the 5-month anniversary of A Conflict in the Snow, my first upload. Although this is only my 4th video. I dropped A Conflict in the Snow on August 29th, so something I wanted to share about that first off was I wrote the story in my junior year of high school, and it was actually for a project. It was the spring when we wrote it, and I think it was it had to be the 4th quarter of my junior year. But the thing behind that is I went through a lot of drafting, so I had a whole drafting process behind A Conflict in the Snow. I'm gonna be going on like this for like the next 10 minutes, and it might not even get any likes, but I am running out of videos fast. Like I said before, this is unscripted, so if you see me pausing a bunch throughout this video, excuse me on that. But this was originally a full-on improv. Another note I'm going to leave in here is, for the first time in over 4 years, I traveled out of state. In 2021, I went to California. Earlier this year, I went to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and so I'm headed off to Seattle towards the end of February. So why am I doing a time-lapse here of all things? Well, I remember in October I was promising myself I was going to make Baxter into an original character. But he's inspired by... But if you know the Spooky Beetle story that I brought up that I mentioned in the last video, you would know that I worked there in the October of 2025. It was a seasonal job, but it was a nice way to make some money, just so I could have that in my pocket while I am still living with my parents. What else is there to uncover? Please give me a moment to think. Feel free to skip ahead to the timestamp listed on your screen if you don't want to hear the full-on pause, or you can just watch the time lapse. That's fine too. I went to one location for the store. I bought myself the head and I think I did the head and the paws, and got the tail later on. Because I worked at the store, I had the employee discount. And so with that, I was able to get myself actually the last pair of slippers for extra cheap. So I'm refraining from saying the store's name as much as I can, I could just call it the spooky retail store, but again, feel free to skip forward. This is my first time doing a time-lapse video, much more, in this instance, doing or making it unscripted on purpose for my own sake. I did get the head as a nice little reference for the video. Or no, not the video, the drawing of my OC. His name is Baxter. First name Baxter, last name Furry. Which sounds funny, but now that I mention it, the story behind the last name being Furry dates back to when I was just on one of my regular walks, and I remember getting a comment from a kid in a passing car that said, "Hi, Mr. Furry." And so that's where I got inspired to actually make Furry as the last name for Baxter. My OC, Baxter Furry. About the recording of this video, I'm just talking on and on and on into my brother's closet. He is currently asleep or trying to get some sleep at the time of recording these messages. And by these messages, I mean the notes I am leaving in this video as you're watching a time lapse and listening to lo-fi. If it sounds different, that's because I was recording the voiceover for this video in multiple locations throughout the house. Throughout the house I'm currently staying in. I start out with one ramble session followed by a series of edits. And next thing you know, I'm doing another ramble session. There was session 1, which is my brother's closet, and then this is session 2, which is my parents' closet. Not counting, of course, the times I have rambled on, or no, not counting the times I have left additional messages within the video. Such as clips like this, where I would record a voiceover in my bedroom. Or a clip like this, which is also in the same room, but on a different day. Also letting you know that in the last 4 minutes of this video, the speech frequency will have been significantly reduced. By which, of course, I mean frequency of speech. Anyway, if you've ever heard of the Tuxedo Cat, that's a part of what led me to make a Tuxedo Dog, which is what you're about to see with the coloring right here. Of course, here I was deciding on the line art. I had a lot of ideas in mind whether to do 1 or 2 spikes coming from the wrist, running from the wrist down the arm on the front or back side. I decided to keep it simple with just one spike on each side. And originally I went for a wide V-like collar, but here I instead opted to do here, as you'll see in just a bit, I went on to do something more narrow. and down to just above the belly. I remember saying last video, oh, I would see you next time, and as would Topaz the Snake. But what actually ended up happening is, what it meant when I said that was my Fixona, or fictional persona, actually getting to see you, or you getting to see it being my Fixona. First name Blackout, last name Beast, just like the name of the channel, just like the name of this channel. That is, of course, until it gets updated for whatever reason. Anyway, that's all I have for today, and, well, I will say, I've been drawing over the years. I've been doing digital art over the course of years, and so I would do completely new characters. When I did a completely new character, it would usually take me like 1.5 to 2 hours. But of course, going off of another one of my OCs for reference, OC standing for original character. I'm sorry if I left you confused back there. Helps me get the sketching, line art, and coloring done in just like an hour or so.